Thank you, Speaker. And firstly, I would, before speaking on the actual State Taxation Acts Amendment Bill 2023, like to make a comment about the handling of this bill by the government. I was attending the bill briefing last Friday afternoon and was quite shocked when, at the bill briefing, to find out that, as we all know, this didn't get second read as it would normally do, and the Friday before the Wednesday when we would debate this, there was certainly not the 14 days. In fact, there was only 1 day. And those that say we had more than that in time, I think they're disrespectful to the fact that our role as representative here is to talk to our communities, and the community had less than 24 hours. And I will quote the words said in that bill briefing. It was, "Do not share with stakeholders. This is still Cabinet in confidence information." So here we are beginning this debate less than 24 hours from people actually being able to see the bill. This is another example, and I've been up in many times on my feet to say this government refuses to consult, refuses to respect our communities. It's got to the point where it's their way or the highway. This bill affects 6.8 million Victorians. These taxes that this bill, these nasty taxes that this bill implements, is a cost impost on 6.8 million Victorians. The debt that this government has incurred as a result of their total mismanagement of the finances of taxpayer dollars is a result that will affect every woman, man and child. In a family in South West Coast, my children's family, my son Tom, his wife Hayley, Archie, Fleur and little Hendrix, who's only one, that's $5,000 for each one of those in that average family from South West Coast, and that's $25,000 for that family. And that's why we oppose this bill, because it's a nasty bill with nasty taxes, taxes on schools, taxes on renters, taxes on debt, taxes on jobs. And that's why the family I just quoted you, my son's young family, will find it harder to live in Victoria under Labor. They say, I heard the member for Geelong say it was because the state was hard hit by COVID. Well, no, COVID was in every state. We are in this position because of the mismanagement of this government, of the tax dollar and of COVID mismanagement, and more to the point, the $31 million they talk about paying off, billion they talk about paying off in the next 10 years is exactly the same figure as the $31 billion in cost blowouts that they incurred as a result of the big bill that they've blown every single project they've had touched, and they've blown it out. So here we are, going from $165 billion to $171 billion over the forward estimates, when we've got increased taxes that tax schools, tax renters, tax debt and tax jobs. It's been 1941 was when we first had the tax exemption for schools, because schools are a not-for-profit business. Sorry, schools are a not-for-profit organisation. The Premier tried to say, and I heard him say the other day, it's a business. Well, if a school's a business, is every not-for-profit going to be come after by this government? Are they going to come after our sporting clubs? Are they going to come after aged care facilities? Where is this going to end? We heard the Premier also say yesterday that government schools are paying payroll tax. Well, let's just have a look what the Catholic Education Commissioner of Victoria says, Jim Miles. He says the cost of children's education, unlike government schools, this payroll tax is real money, which will have to be found somewhere. So it's not just in kind, this one government department, the Education Department pays the Department of Premiers and Cabinet, it's real money. And we have schools in South West Coast, schools like Portland Bayview and Emmanuel College in Warrnambool. Will they have these tax applied to them soon? Will they change the dollar amount? We certainly couldn't get that clarified in question times just now. When I was a young girl, my father died when I was 9. My mother was left with 4 children aged between 9 and 15, and she wanted me, her daughter, to go to a Catholic school. So how would you speak to someone like my mum, left widowed with 4 young children, and her very important Catholic philosophies that she wanted to instill on her children, that she wouldn't be able to have that choice because she was seen as some sort of elite. Well, I don't think a single mother, widowed at the young age of 40 with 4 young kids, was anywhere near elite. And I don't think the Catholic education I had was anything that would be something you could sort of pick on as elite. It was a very sound, basic, good education. But debt is growing in our state, and it's the schools they're coming after. Tax on renters. South West Coast is desperate for more homes, and yet this government has such a poor understanding of the supply chain, of how you make sure there's availability for rental properties, that they are taxing renters. You just have to listen to some of the quotes. You know, it's not just us, it's expert after expert everywhere. The Real Estate Institute of Victoria says it's a tax on families, not on the big end of town. The CPA, they say mum and dad landlords will have to foot this bill. They will be forced to increase rents at a time when there is a national housing affordability crisis. This is how outrageous the understanding of this government is. They have no understanding at all. What about the cuts to regional Victoria? Regional development funding has been cut from $106 million for regional development in 2023-24, down 40%. And in the actual budget of 21-22, it's 57% over that 2-year period. This is an extraordinary cut, and that's a number of jobs that will be lost, that are generated from these areas, will go from 2,427 jobs to just 500. Already I've been contacted by government programs funded by RDV, and they are saying they will limp through till the end of this financial year and have no idea about the next. The Department of Agriculture also faces cuts after having its workforce decimated in 2022. Investment in agriculture industry development will be down nearly 17%. Our region is an economic powerhouse when it comes to food and production, and renewable energy and manufacturing. We make a significant contribution to the state's economy, and this is the thanks we get. The Andrews Labor government has no understanding what agriculture does and how to drive growth, not punish people through punitive taxes, which is exactly that, a punishment. So we oppose these taxes because we are for Victorians. I am for South West Victorians. Taxes punish people. This is completely as a result of the poor handling of the state's money, the people's money. Some people, we know and are told, could share this bill with the government, but where do they think they're going to find the people who aren't struggling? Liberals know how to grow economies through incentives, and we promise tax reform, and we have a track record to deliver on a stable economic state of Victoria. The Andrews Labor government promised no new taxes, and we're up to almost 50. And as I say, I have a litany of quotes that I could keep going with from experts. Rob Scott, the CEO of Wesfarmers, one of our largest employers, says Victoria's payroll tax hit will hurt an already slowing economy and undermine investments and jobs. How is that going to help Victoria? And the evidence is clear, because we're not going to reduce debt despite this government's increase in taxes, despite the revenue they say they are going to raise from this, because they probably will raise it but waste it again, because there's been no reining in of waste, none whatsoever. $31 billion on the big build waste projects that they have not delivered on time, they have not delivered on budget, and they're going to Victorians, because we all know when Labor run out of money, they come after yours. That's how Labor operate. It's never been how the Liberal Party have ever operated. Economic fiscal responsibility is what we are synonymous with, and this government has had, they're not a new government just getting their feet under the table. They've had 19 of the last 23 years, and they say that it's a result of COVID. Well, as I say, COVID was in South Australia, New South Wales, Queensland, Tasmania, Western Australia, and we have a debt here in Victoria equivalent to New South Wales, Queensland and Tasmania all put together. Not just one of them, but the three of them put together, our debt is bigger. So don't pretend to us here in Victoria that COVID was only here in this state. It was right throughout this nation and right around the world. But the debt we have here is extraordinary, and you think you can come after Victorians, mums and dads, and the pockets of kids who want to have an education like I had in a simple Catholic school in far west of this state.